So Lindsey Boetsch is with us now.
Yep, she's this morning at Tri-Township Fire Department. Good morning, Lindsey. Hey, good morning, guys. Yes, we are setting things on fire and then we're going to put them out. Can't be any more fun than that this morning. But first, we want to talk a little bit about the serious side of this because the conditions have been so dry. It's been very hot and we have seen a lot of fires here in the past couple of weeks even. And the Assistant Fire Chief with Tri-Township Fire Department, Darren Smith, joins me. Have you seen a lot more fires this summer than any other summer, or?
It's been pretty typical. I would say there's probably been a few more because of the dry conditions. Yeah, we've had a few more fires than normal, yeah.
And how do you control a grass fire compared to a regular house fire?
A grass fire can be pretty challenging. The problem with the grass fire, if you get some good wind conditions, it likes to run on you. So instead of a house fire staying in one spot, and then we got to chase it. So that's a challenge with the grass fire.
Now, in your hand, you have a fire extinguisher, very important to have in your home. Explain a little bit about the different types of fires and what you can use a fire extinguisher for.
Okay, the first thing I like to talk about when we talk about fire extinguishers is what does it take to start a fire, okay? It takes three elements, okay? You always have to have a sufficient amount of oxygen, which we normally have. You have to have a fuel, which there's normally always a fuel around. And then the number one thing to start a fire, you need a sufficient amount of heat, okay? Put all three things together, you have a fire, okay? So a fire extinguisher, what it does, it eliminates one of those three elements. Once you eliminate one of those three elements, the fire will go out, okay? What we have here is what you call, it's called a dry chemical extinguisher. The beauty of this extinguisher is it takes care of all three types of fires that you will commonly come across, okay? A Class A fire is anything that leaves an ash, okay? It'd be wood, cardboard, stuff like that, rubber, stuff like that, anything that leaves an ash, normal combustibles. A Class B fire is liquid, okay? Flammable liquid. It'd be gasoline, diesel fuel, paint thinner, stuff like that. And a Class C is an electrical fire, okay? Now the beauty of a dry chemical extinguisher, as you can see, it takes care of all three fires.
Okay. And behind you, we have a Class B fire.
This is a Class B fire. We set a pan here on fire with diesel fuel.
All right, let's take care of it.
Yep.
So we're going to use this big one. Yep. I'm going to hand the microphone off to you so you can tell me what to do as I'm doing it.
Okay. First, I'd like to explain to you, just remember the word pass, P-A-S-S, okay? The first letter in pass is P. Just pull the pin, okay? A lot of people think this is easy to pull. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes the safety tag on here is kind of hard, so you really got to tug it. So pull. Then you want to aim this at the base of the fire. Very, very important. Base of the fire, okay? And you want to squeeze the trigger, and then sweep and back away.
Okay. I'm gonna. Here you go. Take that. That was easier than I thought. How far away do I need to be?
The problem with an extinguisher is you have to get kind of close. Okay. So 2-3 feet would be fine. Excellent. Okay, now the reason we like to say to back away is I'll have Lieutenant Keshner come here and he'll show you why we always tell you to back away. You might think you have the fire out, but as soon as the heat is reintroduced to that area of fire, it's going to start back up. So as you can see, it just started back up. So we always like you to back away.
And you said to back away still facing the fire. I don't know if I necessarily did that. I know you had your eye on the fire.
You did that.
All right, we're going to learn more about all of these fires that we've been having, burn bans, all of that kind of stuff. If you are wondering if your area is under a burn ban, you can log on to connecttristates.com and there is a link on that page.
I would like to know, can you hear me, Lindsey? And maybe you have this later? Okay, she cannot, so I will text her my question because it's an important question. I want to know if fire extinguishers have an expiration date.
They text her. They do.
Okay, I already knew the answer, but yeah. Okay, well, good. It's personal too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very nice. Well, we are torching things up here on KHQA this morning in the Tri-States, but we're doing it safely. Lindsey Boetsch is responsible for this.
Yeah, there's a lot of burn bans going on, Lindsey. Yes, very creative, Chad. Torching things up. Yes, we don't want you to, though, because of the dry conditions. Things can get out of hand really easily. Darren Smith with Tri-Township Fire Department joins me now, and you've seen a lot of grass fires lately.
Yeah, we've had a lot of grass fires, especially the week before last. We had a big rash of them. The last week has calmed down a little bit. I think the awareness is finally out there to be careful when it's burning during these times. So.
But there are things you can do to prevent them in your yard.
There are things you can do to prevent them. The first and foremost thing is if you're going to start a brush fire or get rid of some yard waste, look at the wind. Okay, that's probably the number one thing. That's what gets people in trouble. Is they start a fire, the wind's blowing pretty good, and then it takes it and moves it somewhere else where they don't want it to be. So the wind is probably the number one thing. And then next thing is have an area away from, say if you live out in the country and there's a big field right next to you, keep that fire away from that field to where if it does get out of where you're burning, it's not going to immediately go into a big area where it's really going to take off on you. So
now a lot of areas are under a burn ban. What does that exactly mean?
Burn ban, I can't speak for other counties. Right now, Adams County is under a burn advisory. Basically what that means is if you're going to burn, it's still allowed, but we want you to call your fire department, let them know what you're burning, and see if they have any advice. I mean, you can ask them, do you think it's too windy? And we've had a lot of calls, and they've been calling us and say, do you think it's all right to burn today? And we'll tell them, no, it's too windy today. So stuff like that. But we would like you to do that all the time, not just during the dry conditions.
Now behind you, there's a rake and you have a hose and a bucket of water. What is that all for?
Basically, we put this out here in order to stop a fire from extending on you. It takes some very basic things. You don't have to go out and buy some extravagant fire extinguishing things like extinguishers and stuff. These are things you find at home. Just have them next to your fire, okay? Garden hose, very simple, just extend it out to your fire. A rake, now one thing about a rake, we carry these on our trucks. And this is one of our number one things for fighting fires. People wouldn't think that, but it is. But don't buy a plastic one. I mean, I'm not saying no buy a plastic one, but if you're going to use one to extinguish a fire, don't buy a plastic one. Have one that's metal, okay? And then just if you can't get a garden hose out to your fire, just have a bucket of water. I mean, those are simple things you can do to prevent that fire from extending.
Now, you mentioned when people call that they should tell you what they're burning. Why is that so important?
Well, a lot of people have called, and not just now, but over the years, they'll ask if they can burn trash. You know, you can't burn trash in Illinois. It's against Illinois EPA law, okay? So burning trash is not legal anyway. I know people do it, but it's not legal anyway. Those are the main things people ask about, and we'll tell them no, you can't do that, so.
All right, thank you very much. And if you are wondering if you are under a burn ban, we have a link on our homepage on connecttristates.com. And coming up in a little bit, we're going to show you again how to use a fire extinguisher. Very important to know, especially with these very dry conditions.
All right, thank you very much, Lindsey. Some important information. More important information. Welcome back to your Tuesday. Lindsey Boetsch joins us now.
She is live this morning with the Tri-Township Fire Department. Good morning. Hey, good morning, guys. Yeah, we're talking about burn bans, we're talking about fires, we're talking about fire extinguishers more importantly, and what you need to know before you use one. Darren Smith with Tri-Township Fire Department joins me now. And first of all, how often do you need to shake these up or do anything with them?
You know, really there's not a whole lot of maintenance to a dry chemical extinguisher. If you have one, which we recommend everybody does, just every once in a while, and one thing you always remember is when you change your clocks, maybe do it. Just take it, turn it upside down, kind of shake it around, you know, hit it a little bit. Because there's a product in here, it's a powder, and if it sits for a long period of time, that product can settle. And then when you try to use it, you might only get part of it because it packs down. So those are some of the things you can do. Just shake it up. Make sure your kids haven't put a crayon in this little nozzle here, because then it won't come out either. So just check it out. As long as it's in the green, it should be good.
Very good advice. And now we used this one earlier. Oh gosh, now I can't remember which one it was.
This one
okay.
And this morning.
And you can't use them more than once.
No, you cannot use them more than once. A lot of people do not realize that. Once you break the seal and you use the extinguisher, a lot of people think that if you use it and it's a small fire and they just use a little bit, well, I can just put it back underneath the counter or in the cabinet and use it again. No, It won't work. We just used this 20 minutes ago. And now when you try to use it, it will not, the propellant is gone. And
if you look in here, you can see that that little thing is not in the green.
Correct, yes.
Okay, so we have a fire behind us. This is a diesel fire, Class B fire, and we're gonna teach you how to use one of these fire extinguishers. I'm gonna hand you the microphone, because I know what I'm doing.
Okay.
And if you just explain.
Well, can we talk about the types of fires first?
Okay, sure, go ahead.
Okay, basically there's 3 types of fires you need to be concerned about as a normal everyday person. You got Class A, B, and C fires. There's 3 types. Okay, a Class A, if you look on this extinguisher, is normal, everyday combustibles, stuff that will leave an ash, okay? Wood, paper, stuff like that. A Class B fire is flammable liquid, and a Class C fire is electrical, okay? What we have going on right here, we have some diesel fuel, be a flammable liquid fire. It's a Class B fire, so.
And we're going to use the pass.
Yes.
Okay.
Just remember the word pass, P-A-S-S. First letter is P. Just remember, P means pull the pin, so pull that pin out. And sometimes it's difficult, so you do need to give it a tug, okay? Okay. Now the A means aim. Now this is very important. You want to aim at the base of the fire, okay? The first S is squeeze, and then the second S is sweep, and then back away. The reason we want you to back away, as soon as we introduce heat to this pan, it looks like it's out, and we'll show you what happens when you reintroduce heat. It ignites again. So we always tell people to always back away and keep an eye on that fire, okay?
And there's a powdery substance in here, and that's what's coming out of there.
Yes.
And what is that?
Chemical. It's a really long chemical name, so I'm not going to try to explain that to you. But it's a powder that has extinguishing properties. I mean, that's apparent. So.
And grass, you can use water on a grass fire.
Of course, yeah, grass fires, I mean, you can use an extinguisher on a grass fire if you want to. This is going to cost you money. You know, garden hose doesn't cost you, well, you got to pay for water, but but that's just something common, and you have that right there available to you. So a garden hose, bucket of water, keep that close to your fire, and stuff like that.
All right, thank you very much for this demonstration and for teaching us how to use a fire extinguisher. Also, burn bans are across the area. If you're wondering if you are in a burn ban area, you can log on to connecttristates.com, and there's a link right there on the homepage.
So water on a grass fire, no water on a grease fire on the stove.
Right.
That is bad.
Totally opposite happened. Yep.
All right, so let's get a check of our sunscreen.